childhood dreams.
Every weekend is the same. I'm the one you try to claim. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. Call me up with no shame. All your words sound the same. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. If you come around just to play me, don't bother, cause you're way overdue. Don't even try to convince me. Don't bother, cause now I see you through. Your stupid games. Come around. If you come around just to play me, don't bother, cause you're way overdue. Don't even try to convince me. Don't bother, cause now I see you through.
You to come over. I wish that you would come and give me something to prove. Won't you pull me closer? I think that I'm obsessed with everything that you do. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do, call me a fan. I'm living, give me your hand. I'm in it, yeah. I wanna be with you. If that's the last thing that I could do. Sometimes I get nervous, but too good to believe. I don't know how it happened, but baby, I'm ecstatic that you're sticking with me. I'm waiting, trying to be patient. You look like a painting. It's so frustrating. I hate it, yeah. I probably shouldn't say this. I probably should erase it. I probably shouldn't say this. I wanna be with you.
high speed at various points. In a way, Canada, that's got high speed sections, heavy braking zones, similar to the first and final sector at this circuit. So maybe Perfection will still be able to close the gap. And I think he can't afford to get beaten too badly by Zhao Zhao at this point. Looking at how Zhao Zhao's done at some of the tighter, twistier circuits, maybe that last race of the season at Singapore and other ones like Russia, they might suit him as well. So I think Perpetuum's got to try and make hay while the sun shines, although I don't believe he's actually in the lobby at the moment. So if he doesn't turn up, then Zhao Zhao, he will be looking extremely good indeed.
I hope Zhao Zhao's not putting a Daniel Lapp, by the way, from Formula E and getting somebody else to race underneath his account. He did say he wasn't making it tonight, so it's a bit of a shock that he's actually here. Of course, we go into the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, 7 kilometres in length, 4.3 mile, 22 laps awaiting these drivers, of course, out on track. 18 minutes worth of qualifying. 50% race, 22 laps in total, and dynamic weather. And the dynamic weather always likes to throw up a bit of a curveball. We've seen rain around here before. We've even seen snow. If you watched a couple of seasons ago in the WEC, we even had snow around this track. So it just comes to show, because it is such an elevation-heavy track, weather could be dry on one part of the circuit and it could be raining on the other side.
It could be dry at one part of the Kemmel Straight and raining at the other side, if we're being perfectly honest. I think we've seen that happen at this circuit on occasion. Yeah, weather's always something to worry about around this circuit. A very long circuit as well, so you've got to get your laps done right in qualifying. You don't want to spend too long messing about invalidating laps, which is fairly easy to do around this circuit, especially if you just run wide slightly. I think No Name Corner and Puhon, 2 turns especially, where drivers tend to invalidate their lap time, so that's something we need to watch out for. You've got to be on it around this circuit. You can't really afford to relax. Yes, Blanchimont, Eau Rouge, Radillon don't have the same challenges that they used to in the dry. In the wet, though, this track takes on a whole new character and becomes a completely different beast.
It really does, and of course it is the longest track on the calendar as well, so there's going to be a lot of overtaking hopefully out on track, of course, with the 2 DRS zones, one down the start-finish straight into the Source hairpin at turn 1, and one down the Kemmel Straight on the run down in towards Les Combes at turn number 5. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. We have seen some really good racing in the past, of course, here in Belgium, and it remains to be seen what the weather is going to do out on track. But with 19 drivers in the lobby, we are going to be beginning very shortly indeed for the racing out on track. Zhao Zhao, by the way, was making a joke in the Discord that I've just seen. Half the league now German. I think that's a reference possibly to TTG Esports' new 3 signings.
Yeah, and I think what season was it in Formula 1? I know when Schumacher made his return, there seemed to be a lot of Germans. Vettel,
2012.
Hulkenberg, Suttil, Heidfeld, Schumacher. So, yeah, we've sort of got that tone to it at the moment. Whether we get a German dominating, we'll have to wait and see. But he'll be looking to do well. I've just tried to see him. We've got Chapelele, a German, in a Red Bull. So maybe he might be a bit like the Vettel era of the early 2010s. I mean, Zhao Zhao, I don't think he's too worried what they put up against him at the moment. He's done fantastically well, won 3 of the 4 races so far this season, and especially when it has been wet conditions, he just seems to have been able to put it on a different level, and it wouldn't have surprised me if he'd have been here last week, if he'd have been near the front or possibly taken a victory once again. But he missed that race. Got to just try and move on now. 27 points ahead in the championship, still looking very good. Just needs to keep being solid, keep picking up like podiums, and hope maybe that Perpetuum, Carsby and some of the others fall off ever so slightly. And it is just for consistency that Zhao Zhao has had, obviously. Those 3 victories, I think he's had the most podiums than everyone. Only 3 drivers have took a victory all season, but you've had a lot of drivers, like, for example, Perpetuum. That 1 win is his only podium. Venoms, he's had 2 podiums, but he's only done 2 races. Sorensen, 2 podiums, only finished 2 races. Lemon, only scored points once, and that was a victory. No one has been able to match Vergaine's consistency so far this season.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, how this all unfolds out on track, and we all better get going, of course, in towards qualifying. So best of luck to everyone that is going to be on track. But without further ado, of course, let us get started and let us go straight into qualifying. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML. We are here for Season 4, Round 6 of the Championship, as we take in the Belgian Grand Prix from the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Of course, 3 compound tyres available to the guys out on track, the C3, C2 and C1 compound tyre, softs, mediums and the hards to you and me. Very high tyre degradation around this track as well, so we'll be looking out for early pit stops throughout in towards the race. Of course, a 7-kilometre circuit beholding these guys out on track, 19 turns awaiting the drivers, taking around Pouin, bus stop and the lights, 2 DRS zones, 1 down the stop finish straight into the source, 1 down in toward the Kemmel straight down in toward Le Com. A lot of elevation change around here in Spa, and it is going to be fascinating, of course, how we are all going to see this unfold out on track, and whether these guys will need the soft compound tyres will remain to be seen as we get now straight into qualifying. Beautiful blue skies and sunshine, that's exactly what we want to see, a nice level playing field for qualifying.
Yeah, drivers will be really pushing it hard. They might have to compromise their setups, of course, if we do get any rain in the race. We don't know what the weather's going to be like, but park firming conditions obviously in play as soon as you go out in qualifying, only able to make changes to your differential, front wing and tyre pressures in that situation. So you might see some compromised setups if we are going to get rain in the race. Of course, we don't know what it's going to be like. And we have got the first few cars starting to head out of the pit lane. I think there's a Red Bull and a few further up the pit lane as well. Not sure if that's a Haas and an Alfa Romeo.
I'm actually on board with the first man coming out the pit lane. It's Zhao Zhao, who's the first man out on track, and we'll be hoping to try and get some very late practice in, I think. In terms of this qualifying session, of course, he hasn't made it. He probably hasn't even practiced for this as well. Coming through with Rouge and Radion, he is the championship leader coming into tonight, and he is going to be the man to watch. We've got Perpetuum also here, along with Cosby, the top 3 in the championship, going to be fighting out on track. But then you've got the likes of Chapelelli, who's returning as a reserve. He could try and throw his name into the mix as well.
Yeah, he could. I mean, Chapelelli, I think he picked up at least 1 victory last year. I can't remember if it was 1 or 2, but he's always a quick driver on his day. The problem is, quite often, he does seem to make a few mistakes, and to be fair, we've seen that from a lot of the grid, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. The consistency's not been there. His first race of the season, seeing as he's returned as a reserve driver for this year, so in a way, there's no pressure. He can just go out there, have a bit of fun. No, it doesn't affect the Constructors' Championship in any way, and see what he can do.
And the last time he was around here, I think he bought it was Eloise on Saturday, and he might have bottled it coming on the exit of a Rouge. That's all I'm not a Rouge, through Pouin even. So hopefully he's going to try and replicate, well, not that, but hopefully he's going to try and get a better performance, of course, out on track here tonight. Zhao Zhao was on the run up toward Blanchimont, through Curb Paul Frere there, back just in the background of shot, and now Zhao Zhao coming through the final couple of corners, and we are going to ride on board with the man, the championship leader, out on track around the 7-kilometre circuit, and here he comes around the final 2 corners at the bus stop chicane, of course the old bus stop chicane, as Sorensen has retired from the session. Not sure why that might be, but across the line comes Zhao Zhao, and he now comes down in towards turn number 1, down in towards La Source, and we'll see how quick he is going to be out on track. He now comes out of La Source on the run down this hill in towards Rouge and Radion, and of course do not get those 2 corners mixed up. I know you're probably going to be looking at me to try and get those 2 mixed up. Yeah, you're not fooling me. Through Rouge and Radion, now down through the kink at turn 4, on the run now down the Kemmel straight, Dutch corner to the left-hand side, and now all the way down in towards the first sector, and it's not looking actually a bad first sector here from Judge. It's 29.7 through the first sector, rides the curb through Le Com, through 5, 6, and then through 7 on the exit of Le Com, and now down in towards Bruxelles. Of course, Bruxelles named after the capital of Belgium, Brussels. Just a very fancy French name. As it now comes around through Bruxelles, and now through X corner, otherwise known, of course, as No Name, and now comes down the hill in towards Pouin, and we're pretty much halfway around the lap at this point. Zhao Zhao really flying through Pouin, looks a little bit unstable, slightly coming through Pouin. He gets a car to the right-hand side, Ferrari pulling off there, but now Zhao Zhao coming through in towards the Campbell section, out on track through the chicane, and now on the run down in towards Paul Frere, and this is now towards the end of the middle sector, and it's not looking too bad through the middle sector. 43.1 in the middle sector. It's a very short final sector here as he's out of Stavelot and now on the run down in towards Blanchimont, this flat left-hander, of course, turn 17 out on track, and Blanchimont taken flat out 200 mile an hour, nearly carried through there by Zhao Zhao. So now comes up the hill, up the rise, braking just off the 100-metre ball, gets the car turned in for the bus stop chicane. It's not looking like a bad lap at all here from Zhao Zhao. Will come across the line, I think it's in the 140s, I'll tell you that, comes across the line, a 140.8 to start off the night. Not a bad lap whatsoever.
No, not a bad bank a lap whatsoever from Zhao Sorensen. It was a weird place where we lost it. It was a long way from Paul Frere, almost halfway towards Blanchimont, so I'm not sure whether there was a lack of concentration. He just got on the grass, but you do see drivers lose it and run wide coming out of Paul Frere, but they normally retire a lot earlier than when we saw that Haas part. So a shame for him that has happened. We've seen Shapalele, we said watch out for him. He's gone into second place. Interestingly, he was fastest in the first and final sector, suggesting that maybe he's got a bit less downforce than some of these other drivers and just going for a slightly different strategy. The middle sector, you do need a downforce on the car. First and final sector, if you fancy doing more overtaking, knock off a bit of wing, but no, you will lose a bit of lap time in qualifying. Mikras has gone into third place. Last week's winner, Lemon, he's in sixth at the moment. Yul Melmat was actually fastest in the middle sector, but he backed off severely. Oh, no, he didn't back off severely, I should say. There must have been something strange happening on my end there. Yul Melmat goes fastest.
He does go quickest, the German out on top, Jajab in second, Chapelletti in third, and fun fact, Yul Melmat was actually on pole around here in LOE on Saturday, so he'll be hoping to try and replicate that form. I'm on board with Dobby now coming in towards the final couple of corners. He was good through the first sector, good through the middle, 43.3 through the middle, and now runs to the line, and I think he'll go sixth. He does, 0.02 of a second behind Volpeak. Not a bad lap there at all from Dobby the Brit. And we've got our new driver, of course, Carlsbury coming through Stavilo. He's also on a lap, I believe, out on track. But we have also got our new driver called Effect. That's his name, Effect, not E7FE3T underscore, as we would have been saying in commentary otherwise. But we'll have to see how he gets on in the course. He's on a set of mediums as well.
Yeah, a few drivers going for the mediums earlier on. I think this is more just to get a banker running. With 19 drivers around the track this long, you're not going to be expected to get into the top 10 on the mediums, as shown by the fact that the two drivers that have tried it so far, Amity and Lemon, yes, they're only about a second off of pole position, but at the moment that puts them slowest of everyone who has done a time. So whether this is just getting a bit of extra practice in, what the track conditions are like right now, and keep a set of spare soft tyres for the race is a fairly straightforward one stop around here. Soft to medium if you're in the top 10, medium to soft if you're outside the top 10, and then just hope you can do some overtaking in the race. Elton Keys reserving again. He's invalidated on a lap earlier on, and in fact nearly spins there. So we'll see what Effect can do on his first run. 29.8 through the middle sector, compares through the first sector, I should say. 43.6 in the middle sector, compares pretty favourably compared to the other drivers on the mediums.
Yeah, he's only 0.3 off, actually, the likes of Tim in the middle sector as well, and they're on a sort of soft compound tyre. So Effect now coming through turn 17. I wonder how many times I'm going to transition, by the way, to E7, calling them E7, out on track. Of course, we're not in EastEnders, as Effect now comes through the final couple of corners, through the bus stop chicane, and now runs to the line. I think he'd be quickest to the medium runners, and by quite a margin, nearly 0.2 of a second. Effect goes 13th, and he's a 10.5, nearly 0.2 off the back of Combi. Really good lap time on there, and if he can try and put in a lot of good effort on the set of softs, he's a man to watch out for, maybe even for Paul.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a 7 kilometre track to only be 0.8 off. Yes, there's not loads of traction zones, but I think those medium tyres are really effective. Definitely coming out of turn 1, coming out of Bruchel as well, and coming out of the bus stop, you'll lose quite a bit of time, and the fronts in the middle sector will cost you. So a pretty, well, a very respectable effort, I'd say, there by Alfie. Some of the other drivers heading out on track now. Nicholas coming out on an outlap, and Perpetuum going for his first run in this qualifying session. Let's see what he's looking like in the first sector. 29.726, just ahead of the fastest of all, just ahead of Chapalele, and about 600ths ahead of Yul Melmat. Could this be the race where we see Perpetuum show the qualifying form that he had at the start of last season?
You'd like to imagine so. His first sector quite electric, to be honest, and now comes out of X corner through No Name, and now on the run down in towards Pooh, and one ball with him as he runs down in towards Pooh, nearly reaching 180 mile an hour carry through there. You can see the camera of the corner just wanting to flick that car right out with oversteer. Perpetuum now in towards the Campos section, out on track, and Perpetuum will be hoping for a good middle sector. He just got caught on the curb there, and I think it's just degraded a bit of speed away, so it'll be interesting to see where he is in terms of the middle sector. Well, he's quicker than Yul Melmat, and he's quicker than Jajab. He's purple again in the middle sector at a 43 flat. If you get a sub 42 coming through the middle sector, you are on absolute fire. But Perpetuum now running down in towards Blanchimont, and he's absolutely flying on this lap time. I would imagine it's going to be a 140.5, 140.6 maybe, as now Perpetuum comes out through the final couple of corners. How picture perfect was he coming out through the final corner? Perpetuum now to the line, and it's a 140.6, and now he's laid down the complete and utter gauntlet.
Yeah, fastest in every single sector, which takes some doing around this track. I did notice he got a bit of a slipstream in Sector 1, but definitely didn't have that at the final part of the lap and still a tenth faster than what we'd seen anyone else do in that final sector. So laying a marker down for everyone else. We are seeing a few yellow flags out on circuit. I think they're just for drivers backing off. Nicholas is coming through the final sector now. He's 1 minute 12 through the first two, so not doing too bad at the moment. This might be good enough to put him in and around the top few drivers in the high 1 minute 40s, but I'll be surprised if he goes anywhere near Perpetuum with this lap. And I think a few of the others will have seen that lap time and just groaned slightly from our reigning champion.
I think he'll actually go second with this. Nicholas is coming across the line, see where he's going to go, and he does go second. So, yeah, you should trust me more often, I think. 140.8 out on track from Nicholas, and we're halfway through qualifying. Perpetuum out on top, Nicholas second, Yul Melmat in third. There is Yul Melmat just coming through Rouge and Radion. Jajo, I believe, is ahead of him out on track, and Jajo through the first sector, 29.7. So he's there or thereabouts. Another yellow flag in sector 3, don't worry about those, but we're on board with Jajo now coming out through X. On the run down and towards Puon. Looks like he's got a Ferrari of Tim maybe just in front of him as Tim gets out to the way to the right hand side. As now Jajo flies through Puon, not looking like a bad lap at all here from the Dane.
No, he's doing okay at the moment. We'll see how he does through Campus Chicane. Still not purple in Sector 1, but improving on his personal best. And I think he's actually got Perpetuum, maybe just out ahead of him on track. But I'm sure the German will dive right out of the way. There we go, making sure he's not going to get held up whatsoever. I think Zhao Zhao wouldn't have minded maybe if he just stayed ahead a bit longer, but I don't think Perpetuum wanted to give any slipstream at all to his rival in this race. Perhaps Volbeek's gone up into fourth place, so he's found a bit of time on his run. Zhao Zhao fastest of everyone in the middle sector. This could be in and around what we saw the Williams of Perpetuum do through the final corner. A slight bit of a correction there. Will that cost him? Perhaps it did do. Second position, 62 thousandths of a second off provisional pole.
Chapelletti's just gone up into fourth as well, a 140.841 from him. Yul Melmat at the same time, and Yul Melmat now into the final couple of corners. Nearly looked like he invalidated actually coming through the bus stop chicane, but it's a flyover lap from Yul Melmat, comes across the line and he goes third. I think he backed off that right at the end as Rick has retired out on track. Yul Melmat then goes third at 140.7. Has Rick crashed that in the pit? Has he gone into the pit lane and retired that car, or has he crashed coming through the Lunchmon?
He's crashed coming out of Paul Fair, where we said earlier there's that barrier on the left-hand side, which, you know, if you just run it slightly wide on the curb, that barrier comes towards you very close, and it's a fairly high-speed corner, so you're doing well in excess of 120, 130 mile per hour coming through there, and you've not got a lot of time to react and move a Formula 1 car. They are pretty nimble, they're not quite that nimble. Eltink comes towards the line, he goes up into second place. Struggled a bit last week on his debut here in TTML, didn't have the greatest of qualifying, didn't finish the race, but that is looking much better from the Renault driver, splitting the top two in the championship.
Really good lap time from Eltink, and he got caught on the curb into the bus stop chicane, and he actually just degraded that speed away. Oh, that would have been quickest, I think, if he didn't do that. It cost him a good tenth of a second. Eltink then is second. Perpetuum still out on top. Eltink in second and Jajo in third, but less than 700ths of a second off. Just over 700ths of a second out on track, separating those guys. Effect has just started on a lap, a 141.6 currently on a set of mediums. We saw Imad improve, certainly he was on a set of mediums to 141 flat, but it does mean that we could see a big improvement here from Effect. Now comes up the hill through a Rouge and then through Radion, and be hoping to see is, by the way, in the purple first and middle sector from Eltink, he was slightly quicker, and it was Perpetuum quickest final sector, so that bus stop chicane really cost Eltink. Through the first sector for Effect, it's 29.8, so it's there or thereabouts through the first sector, but now on the run down in towards Bruxelles, not looking like a bad lap so far, but he's just got to pick up the pace.
Yeah, he's only actually 7 thousandths up on his personal best coming through the first sector, which I think shows what a good job he did through sector 1 on the medium tyres, and I think also shows the fact that it's a hairpin in a long straight. Pretty much in a modern Formula 1 car, Eau Rouge and Radion, you just stick your foot to the floor, do a bit of steering, 190 mile per hour corner, it's easy peasy for these modern Formula 1 cars, which I don't think is something anyone ever thought we'd be saying when we saw the footage of, I think it was Jack Villeneuve. He was famous for trying to do it flat in the late 90s and failing quite epically on many occasions. As Effect just backs off there, he was just improving, but not finding a lot of time on these soft tyres, so he's decided to save it for now, head to the pits, bolt on a fresh set of softs, and give it one final run, but he is down in 18th at the moment. Both of the Ferraris struggling as well, Tim and Rick, who's making his debut tonight, 16th and 17th.
Yeah, Tim down in 16th, Rick, of course, in 17th as well. Only a couple of drivers out on that laps. Kumbly is around the final corner to start us off on a lap with 4 minutes to go in qualifying. It's Perpetuum out on top, Elting second, and Zhao in third. 3 different nationalities right at the top of the field. It's a bit like Eurovision, to be honest. Kumbly on the run down in towards Rouge and Radion. That's not the last time you've ever heard of me saying Eurovision tonight. Kumbly now through a Rouge, now through Radion, and now through the kink of turn 4 onto the Camel Straight, opens up that DRS zone, and this is looking not bad through the first sector at all from Kumbly, and Kumbly coming through the first sector, and it's a 29.9 through the first sector from Kumbly out on track, so it's not looking too bad. Through the first sector to 29.7, in fact. My eyesight really needs a test as Kumbly now comes out of Lacombe, down in towards Bruxelles, just locks up slightly, forces the car to go a little bit off camber of the corner, now coming to the left-hander of X, as now runs down in towards the hairpin of P1, but he's invalid.
Yeah, invalidated coming out of Malmedy, I think. I was going to say, this is not quite like Eurovision by the fact that the Brits aren't right at the bottom of the table at the moment, propping everyone else up. But 2 minutes 50 to go. Most of the drivers in the pit lane. You've got Kumbly, who I think is going to be going for another hot lap. Nicholas, who's just starting one now, and a few others who are heading out of the pits, and this is going to be beautiful for Nicholas. Great teamwork between the two racing points. He's getting a fantastic slipstream on the run down towards Lacombe, and yeah, you can see 300ths up on his personal best. Only needs to find a bit more than that, and he can maybe get himself onto the second row of the grid.
He's 500ths down on Elting's fastest first sector, by the way, through the first sector as well. So Nicholas now coming through in towards Malmedy, and Perpetuum still out on top, Elting second, Zhao in third. Sorensen, by the way, scoring 0 points at this stage. I had to do that, I'm sorry. Nicholas now coming through. Perpetuum just getting out of the way. It actually put up Nicholas a little bit coming through P1, but he's managed to keep the speed going. So now runs into the Campbell section out on track. Perpetuum still out on top, Elting second, Zhao in third. Everyone now on an outlap as Mikras and Kumbly are still in the pit lane. Neither of those, I think, are going to get out maybe for another lap. As now Nicholas comes out through Stavilo and through the middle sector to 42.7. Through the middle sector. How on earth has he done that middle sector? He's right there or thereabouts now in terms of Perpetuum. And Nicholas is now running up to the bus stop with an absolute chance of trying to get provisional pole with 1.5 minutes to go in qualifying, as Perpetuum is still out on top. But Nicholas through the final corner at bus stop now runs towards the line. Is it quickest? Yes! 140.5. Really good lap time from Nicholas, and he lays the gauntlet down once again. But I fear there's going to be a lot of improvements.
Yeah, I mean, Zhao, he found a bit of time on his his second run in this session. Chappellele found a bit as well. We still yet to see what Effect can do way down in last place. I think there's going to be a lot more times coming through. But Nicholas, that final sector was absolutely fantastic from him. And now, of course, he's repaying the favour to his teammate and going to give, I think, Lemon a massive toe up the hill. We'll see what Perpetuum can do. Has he got anything to fight with? Let's not forget 2 bonus points for pole position here in TTML. So this is absolutely crucial, not just for who gets that run down towards turn 1, although sometimes at this track it's not really turn 1 you have to worry about, it's down the Camel Straight into Lacombe, because the slipstream, as we've seen, is extremely powerful. Perpetuum, he's invalidated. Second is the best the reigning champion can do.
It is indeed. Fastest first sector, by the way, Chappellele, 29.6. Through the first sector from the German as the track really weathers in. Chappellele has got a big chance, possibly, of actually getting pole position. We'll see, of course, improvements fly as Perpetuum gets out of the way to the right-hand side. Chappellele now on a lap, as we see on board with him, on towards the Campbell section. Combi, Mikras and Armadi are still on outlaps as well as Effect. I wonder if there's a bit of a timing glitch, maybe, that's still to come across the line. Nicholas then out on top, but those guys have not got a second lap in. He's absolutely flying, though, Chappellele, through the middle sector to 42.8. It's not as quick as Nicholas, but he's there or thereabouts. He's about 500 down off that time as now Chappellele runs in toward Blanchimont. We've got Volbeek also on a lap as well, and he is actually nearly up in the first sector by the looks as well. Dobby is 1,000th quicker than him in behind, but Chappellele now into the final couple of corners. He's the next man to come across the line, as Chappellele will run to the line. Where's he going to go? It's top! 140.5, he really nailed the final sector. Zhao was retired out on track. It's Nicholas in second then. He's run out of fuel. Perpetuum's into the pit lane. Yul Melmat now coming through the final corner. He's invalidated. Volbeek at 42.9 through the middle sector. Is this Chappellele's pole position now? Volbeek is on the run up towards Blanchimont. Dobby, Hyper and the lights are probably ahead of him out on track, so we'll see improvements to the left-hand side as Volbeek now is on a lap. And he runs now down and towards the bus stop chicane. He's got to nail this right, and the Dutchman has got to put everything everything on the line now as he comes through the final corner at the bus stop chicane. Chapelelli out on top, Nicholson second, Volby to the line. He goes fourth. Good lap time by Volby. Comes across the line. Dobby on a lap coming out through the final corner now. Let's see what he can do. The Brit comes across the line and he goes eighth and improves ahead of Lemon by 400ths of a second. Hyper into the pit lane. Combi, I think, is still on a lap as well. This combi is actually invalidated on a lap. I'm a D is coming through into the bus stop chicane. Carlsby also on a lap as well. Carlsby up into 8th, 140.7. I'm a D now comes across the line. Does he improve? No, he doesn't, and he stays 15th. Combi invalid. That's the end of qualifying. And it's Chapelelli who nicks pole position right at the death. 2 points goes to him.
Yeah, fantastic lap there through Chapelelli. Just absolutely nailed the first and final sectors once again on that run, as we saw him do at the start of the session. In fact, it was Perpetuum who ended up being fastest in the final sector. Nicholas fastest in the middle sector. We'll see what that means between the race, but those three drivers all within a tenth of a second at the longest circuit on the calendar suggests we're going to have some great racing.
German domination as well. I wonder if that's going to be what it is in Eurovision. Chapelelli out on top, Nicholas second, Perpetuum in third. Volbeek fourth with Eltinker fifth, Jajo sixth, Melmat seventh, Cosbury eighth, Dobby ninth. Lemon ran off the top 10. Another host Germans. Hyper 10. Combi ran off the top 13. Mikkelsen Amadi ran off the top 15. Kuhnblai Rick on his debut. Effect in 18th. Sorensen not getting a lap time in. He's right down on the back of the field. Plenty of Germans though out on track. I think we've got pretty much half the grid are now Germans here in Division 1. But Chapelelli out on top, and he's the quickest one of them all.
Yeah, he's flying around at the moment. I wonder... we will still be going when Euro 2020 is on, so if there's any matches clash with a Germany game, if there's any on a Tuesday night, there could be a lot of drivers missing here in TTML. Hopefully, they'll stay here. Hopefully, they'll carry on with this fantastic racing we've seen so far. And it's bright sunshine once again. Not quite as bright as it was earlier on, but still looking sunny, looking like it will stay dry. It's a fairly quick race around Belgium just because of the high average speed. I'm interested to see what Sorensen and Effect can do. 18th and 19th on the grid. Effect looked very quick on the mediums, just couldn't get it together on the softs, and Sorensen obviously didn't even end up setting a lap, crashed on his outlap in qualifying. We've seen quick times from him previously in the season with 2 podiums, so they could be one to watch out for on the alternate strategy, trying to push their way back up the grid.
Yeah, you'd like to imagine, to be honest, that there's going to be a lot of action as well out on track around a 7-kilometre circuit. You mentioned about the high speed, making it a very short race around here. We're probably looking at about 40 minutes in terms of race length. But the formation lap has now begun, and it's Chapelelli out on top, Nicholas second, Perpetuum in third. Top 3, of course, in the standings. I was going to say everyone's going to go for a set of mediums, maybe, and try and split the strategy. However, that is not the case. A majority of the bottom 9 drivers are on a set of mediums, apart from I'm a D. I'm a D going for a set of hard compound tyres. Now, a set of hards can work around here, but they're a bit like Silverstone. They really do not weather into the track, and he is going to be struggling, maybe from the likes of Kuhnblai, Rick, and the likes in behind. And Amadi's going to be right at the back of the field, maybe at the end of lap 1.
There's 2 reasons why you would go for the hard tyres. Number 1, you're thinking for some reason there is going to be an extremely late safety car. We're talking lap 15, lap 16, then you can pit and put the softs on, but I still think you'll lose a lot of time. Reason number 2, it's meant to rain later on in this race, round about lap 15 or lap 16, and you do not want to come into the pit. So they're the only 2 reasons I see you going for the hard tyres around this circuit.
I'd imagine it's probably more the latter, if I was to be honest. There might be late rain during the race, and we see the weather conditions change so vastly on this game, especially so around here at Spa, where the track conditions and the weather conditions can really, really play into the hands of guys around them. Jaja, by the way, championship leader, has been out-qualified for Perpetuum. That is something to throw in. Colsbury's in 8th position as well. We see the predicted pit stop strategy by the AWS graphics, lap 8 and 9 on a set of soft compound tyre. I would say probably pit in earlier than that. Maybe we should be seeing pit stops from about lap 6, lap 7.
Yeah, I was about to say, for lap 6, lap 7, maybe lap 8 if you want to go a bit longer. Those on the mediums, though, they might come in round about lap 13, lap 14. They might try and do more than 8 or 9 laps on the soft tyres, obviously because they can put in a lot less fuel in. If there is rain due, that might just change things even more. We might see everyone on the mediums try to stretch their tyres out, and some drivers on the softs might think, well, can we make a soft work if you've got a fresh set and then put intermediates on when it starts to rain and take that gamble? We're just surmising here. It is cloudy. It's a lot colder than it was in Hungary as well. 90 degrees track temperature, 27 90 degrees air temperature, 27 degrees track temperature, whereas I think last week it was more like 27 degrees air temperature and in the 30s for the track. So if it does start raining, you can expect it to get wetter quicker, and there'll be a much shorter transition period than what we had in Hungary. They're not thinking about later on in this race now. It's all about nailing that start. Can Chapelele not only stay in the lead into turn 1, but still be in the lead by the time they come out of Lecombe?
Nicholas is going to have to try and get a good run. His car is awkwardly positioned, and all of the guys on the left-hand side of the grid, as we look, are positioned awkwardly out on track. But the 5 red lights are about to go out here in Belgium. Round 6 of the championship about to begin. And it's lights out and away we go, and Chapelele gets a good start. We already see a graphic switch to the left-hand side, but Nicholas gets a good start. He tries to go all the way around the outside and towards the source. Can he get the move done? Round the outside of the source. This will be bold and brave from Nicholas, and I think he's actually got the move done. They're side by side running down the hill, and Nicholas is in front. Brilliant stuff by the Racing Point. It's side by side between Volbeek and Perpetuum. Further down the field for 5th, Volbeek and Perpetuum go side by side through Arouge and Radion, and they've managed to still keep it side by side as well. Yul Melmat's had a disastrous of a start. Now Nicholas is under pressure once again from Chapelele. Chapelele to the outside line. Elting's going to make it 3-1 into Lecombe. And Chapelele's now on the inside line. Nicholas trying to fend them off, but Chapelele on the outside line. Nicholas just about fends them off, but they're still side by side. And it's 3 wide running down in towards Bruxelles. Tries to go down the inside line, and Elting could not make that work down the inside line. A little bit reckless. He should have just gave up the position. Nicholas and Chapelele still first and second, and Elting round 3 wide down into Bruxelles. Doesn't go.
Yeah, I was about to say, Elting had an absolutely fantastic start. A very aggressive line he took into turn 1, completely sent it on the inside of Perpetuum and Jow Jow, who had to sort of balk on their steering, otherwise they'd have been in trouble. But Elting, I'm not sure what he was doing there. I'm not sure how he thought that gap wasn't going to close. He had to go halfway on the curb. I think he's just pushed Tim off towards the gravel as well. He's a bit angry at the moment, and he needs to work his way through the field on these soft tyres in the next few laps, maybe, before the DRS becomes active, before we start getting into that DRS train. But Nicholas, a brilliant start on the outside, and Chapelele, in the end, just not quite able to fight back on the run down the Kemmel Straight, like we said might happen on lap 1.
Yul Melmat's right on the back of Volbeek. Carlsby very late on the brakes as well. Needed a little bit of a Constantino effect. Elting getting through, and Mikras just in the background of the shot as well. They're side by side as Elting is through. But it is Nicholas who leads the way. Chapelele in second, Jow in third. More graphic switch for us on the left-hand side, but it's Nicholas who leads. Chapelele makes a mistake though, coming out of the source, and now puts Jow right on the back of him. And Jow and Chapelele, these two go way back, as Elting and Combi have been caught up in a collision further down the field, and Elting is out of the race. Combi gets a 5-second penalty and a BSC deployed. BSC then deployed out on track, and it is Nicholas out on top, Chapelele in second, Jow in third. But Elting, what on earth happened there?
I'm not quite sure. I didn't see it. Combi, as you said, has got a 5-second penalty, and I'm sure that means we will be seeing something happening with Stewards. He'll have to serve it in the pit, so he won't be able to get it removed. But I can't imagine Elton's going to be too happy about that. Another race where he's promised a lot, and unfortunately by the end of lap 1, all that promise has gone.
He's got damage as well as Combi. Chapelele's picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. And Kuhn Bly as well has got damage further down the field. But Volbeek and Yul Melmat are going side by side in the run down towards P1. It's a great start from Yul Melmat. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside through P1. He gets forced out onto the AstroTurf. He's still there on the inside line, but Volbeek hangs on, and Volbeek is through, and he's into 5th position. Mikras and Tim fighting in and out. Well, I thought they were side by side. That's just the graphic stitch. The left-hand side.
Hyper's off.
On the back as Hyper's off in the background.
Yeah, just caught the end of that. Saw him sliding off at the camper chicane. He's got wing damage. I imagine he'll have to come into the pits on this lap. So Kumblash, Hyper and Combi, all with quite substantial wing damage at the moment. Chapelele with, of course, that drive-through penalty. He's going to have to serve that in the next few laps. Combi and Cohen with 5-second penalties. They'll have to serve it in their pit stops. It's all kicked off at the start of this race. Nicholas still in the lead, and I think maybe now he can afford to relax a bit, and if Chapelele wants to get past him on this lap, just let him go.
Yeah, I think Chapelele is wanting to try and get this done out on track, and he's going to try and get a big advantage, maybe, if there's a safety car going to be coming out. But on lap 3 out of 22, it's Nicholas who leads the way, Chapelele in second, Jow in third. Jow will try and have the run on both of them ahead. Chapelele uses a little bit of overtake mode. Oh, and he nearly loses it coming up the hill through Arouge and Radion, but he's managed to keep that, and he's now going to get absolutely sailed on by Nicholas. There he goes, back into the camera shot he goes, and Chapelele's through, he's into the lead of the race. Volbeek now, trying to fight side by side, he tries to dummy premium to the inside line. We've got pit stops being made by Combi, Hyper, and Kuhnblei, Miklas and Tim side by side as well. Miklas now through and he's into 10th position as well. So the FR man is through on the URL man out on track, but it is Schiaparelli who leads the way. Nicholas in second, Jojo in third, Perpetuum in fourth. But Schiaparelli, 4.5 tenths clear. He has now got the pace to pull away from Nicholas, but with that drive-through penalty that he's going to serve up around a track like this, it's going to really cost him.
Yeah, definitely. It is quite a short pit lane, to be perfectly honest, around here, so maybe not all over yet, but drive-through penalty, straight through the pit lane, out of the speed limit, can't stop the car, and that means, of course, you can't change any of your tyres. Formula 1 pit stops are quick, they're not quick enough to do them at the moment while moving. Kuhnblei's just come out on a set of soft tyres and just absolutely breezed around the outside of Combi, who's gone for another set of the mediums, so he will have to come in again in this race. Sorensen and Hyper both went for the hards after their pit stop, so they don't have to worry about that, and I think Schiaparelli, he's going to be serving his drive-through penalty this lap. He's pretty much used up all his ERS flying around on those tyres, but he's still going to have to take them as long as he was planning to anyway.
You'll know Matt on the back as well. Yeah, Schiaparelli's into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Now he comes into the pit lane. Jaja, new fastest lap of the race though. Now he sets about to try and chase down Nicholas for this race lead. You'll know Matt's on the back of Wolbeig. In terms of all the position gains and position losses out on track as well, Schiaparelli's of course losing positions further down the field, but most positions gained. Rick up 6 positions. He's up into 11th. Effect is again through on Schiaparelli from coming into the pit lane. Don't think we're going to get any moves done, possibly down the Camel Straight. Maybe Yulmelmat and Wolbeig, if Yulmelmat can really close up onto the back of Volbeig, but Yulmelmat, no, he's not going to close up onto the back. Effect is through on Imadi, and Schiaparelli's retired, coming out through a Rouge and Radion, and it's a safety car.
Yeah, that is a false safety car. We saw him getting twitchy a lap ago, and I wondered whether that was just in the dirty air on the back of Nicholas, but clearly that setup on that car, lower on downforce, maybe with the higher fuel and more worn tyres at the moment, just not able to carry the speed flat out through there. So Schiaparelli out of the race, started on pole position, and we've already seen Combi, he's coming back into the pits for a new front wing, hard tyres on, they will suit him towards the end of the race. It is probably just a bit too early for these drivers on the soft tyres to come in and put the mediums on, so do you decide to go for that? Do you come in and put on a hard set of tyres, or do you stay out and just do what the strategy you were planning to do originally?
Probably a set of hard compounded tyres could get to the end of the race. Of course, if these guys catch this back of the safety car, they're not going to be wearing away in terms of the tyre wear out on track. So Combi has got to bear that in mind. Hyper, by the way, his teammate got held him in the pit lane, and he is in for a set of medium compounded tyres. So he obviously feels that he's not going to go to the end of the race, and he obviously feels that it's going to be different in terms of strategy. He nearly went into the safety car there. Vapor Hyper running up the hill then through a Rouge and Radion, but he's on a set of mediums. I wonder what Nicholas and Jojo and the likes are going to do on a set of soft compounded tyre. We'll see Nicholas now. Is he going to come into the pit lane? Yes. Jojo is. Perpetuum is. Volbeig is. Everyone's coming in.
Everyone's coming in, I imagine. I still think it's going to be a set of hard tyres, to be perfectly honest. I think it'll just feel a bit more comfier at the end of this race. I'm definitely seeing quite a few white wall tyres down this pit lane, but someone's going for something different. Jow. He's gone for a set of the medium tyres. Of course, that's going to hold Yulmelmat up with a double stack, and I'm not sure what tyres he's going for. He's also going for the mediums, and I think even a few of these drivers who started this race on the medium tyres have decided to come into the pits and put hard tyres on, as Hyper gets a penalty for speeding under the safety car. The game does give you about 15 seconds, to be perfectly honest, to try and get away with that one, although sometimes the delta comes up fairly rapidly, so maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's going to be a long time before he catches up to the back of the pack.
Yeah, and Rick is the one that's actually stayed out on track as well. He's on a set of mediums, so obviously feeling that he's not going to get to the end. I wonder with the difference in strategy as well. We've got majority of the guys going for a set of mediums, but we've also got like half on a set of hards as well. So those guys on a set of hards, are they banking maybe on this race to stay dry? Are the guys on a set of mediums aiming to either go two-stop or banking on a late bit of rain to try and bring them into play towards the end? Who knows? I think
I think this race is going to stay dry now, looking at the tyre choices that some of the drivers made when they came into the pits on lap 1 or lap 2. The mediums will get towards the end in terms of, I think, puncture territory. I think they'll be fine. Some of them might be calling it fairly close to the edge. It's just how useful the tyres feel at the end of the race compared to those on the hard tyres. The top two in the championship have gone for the mediums, so Jojo and Perpetuum feeling fairly good on that at the moment. Volbe's gone for the set of hards, and we saw earlier on Ira D was dropping quite a bit down the field. He's actually gone from hards to mediums. I'm surprised the majority of the medium runners came into the pit, so some of them didn't feel the need to just stay out longer and go on to the softs at the end of the race. I mean, Rick will struggle on this restart just with getting his tyres up to temperature, but they're still going to be very good for at least the next 5 or 6 laps, you'd say.
Chapelani, by the way, saying in the comments section that he was on the wrong setup and that one was undrivable. That's why he lost it nearly lost it as we rolled on board with him, getting the move done on Nicholas the lap before he crashed, and then on the lap he did crash. I missed him completely, luckily, this time, and he crashed out of the session, so that means he's scoring 0 points out on track. But it is Rick leading the way, but lap 6 out of 22 about to begin. We're under the safety car. You may as well go and grab some popcorn at this stage, or maybe stick on the Eurovision Song Contest to try and fill in the void until we get going again at the end of lap 6. Kumbly, Combi and Hyper still yet to catch the back of the safety car, but we're out at least for another lap in the safety car, and it's Rick who leads. If you're in Rick's shoes though, Luke, he's on a set of medium compounded tyres, and I can only think he's probably going to try and go he'll have to go set of hards, won't he, when he comes back in?
No, he can go for the softs at the end of the race, I think. No problem whatsoever. But pit round about lap 13, pit round about lap 12 or 13, put on a set of softs, it's only a short pit lane. You're going to fly up to the back of the pack, and I reckon catch quite a lot of these hard runners and give yourself a brilliant chance of getting that fastest lap of the race. As I said a few minutes ago, I'm surprised more drivers that started on the mediums didn't try and stay out, and I think Rick was expecting that because he might be left as a bit of a sitting duck on this restart. And Chapelele, as he said, he was on the wrong setup, probably more of a time trial setup, that's why he was so fast in qualifying. I'm not sure the wrong setup though causes you to speed under a virtual safety car though.
Definitely doesn't, and of course he sped into the pit lane. Well, didn't speed into the pit lane, he sped underneath that VSE, and that's why he came in for the drive-through penalty. And the drive-through penalty, as soon as he came out, he was on pretty much cold tyres, and then he lost the car, of course, up through Rouge and Radion as Rick leads the way. Nicholas and Sekam are still underneath the safety car, about halfway around the lap at this point. Jojo, though, he's on a set of mediums compared to Nicholas on a set of hards, and you would imagine that Rick will begin to pull away from the safety car start. He will be the virtual Burt Marlander, but all eyes will be to Jojo and Perpetuum. They're both first and second in the championship. Carlsbury's third in the championship, and he's sixth out on track as well. So Jojo, Perpetuum and Carlsbury have got a real chance, possibly, of even making this a 1-2-3.
They have indeed. What's going to be interesting is a bit like lap 1. Getting this restart right, not so much for La Source, but you don't want to be giving anyone a fantastic run from La Source all the way up towards Lecombe. It's 20-25 seconds flat out. It's up there with Baku, and I think Vietnam now for the longest flat-out sections on the Formula 1 game. We're about to see the lights go off on the safety car now. There we go. Virtual Burt Mylander speeds away. It is all up to Rick now to just control the pace. Those mediums will take a bit of time to heat up, as will the hards on Nicholas, Jojo and Perpetuum. But they'll be the ones to watch out for in the first couple of corners, and that might be the time to take the opportunity.
Yeah, Rick looks like he's getting on with this, by the way. I laughed, by the way, because I heard the Yorkshire accent in the background come up in, I don't know what you said, but it was funny. That's all I'll say. Rick's out on top, Nicholas in second, Perpetuum, but then we've got to keep our cool here in the commentary box. Rick now coming through then the bus stop chicane, and he is going to get us back underway, and he's not gone too early at all here as Rick. Oh, he nearly stalls the pack up. In fact, he just about does him back underway, and Perpetuum is ahead of Jojo underneath the restart, and actually Perpetuum I think has let him through. A legal overtake slightly, but now through turn 1, it's side-by-side action, and it's 3 wide, running down in towards a Rouge and Radion. It's Yul Milmat. Carlsbury has got a sensational start though, and he's trying to go all the way around the outside through a Rouge and Radion. Please keep it clean, please keep it safe out on track, and he has, and Carlsbury falls out wide. Yul Milmat's got the run now. Jojo right on the back of Perpetuum. It's Rick who leads the way. Nicholas trying to close up. Volbeat is now side-by-side all of a sudden with Carlsbury running down in towards Lecombe once again, and Volbeat tries to go all the way around the outside of Carlsbury, and that was the wrong call there, but Carlsbury now through in his into sixth position. Tim is dropping down a position as well, and Volbeat's round. Volbeat is round, and he's recovered the car, and he's now down in 13th. He looks like he either made contact with another car, or he had a half spin.
I think he didn't make contact with someone else and he had that half spin, managed to recover, but the game, I don't think it goes to him, and a lot of other cars had to react and get out of the way, but he's now down in 13th place, so not ideal for him. Rick.
Oh, look at Jojo! Oh my god, Jojo nearly got the move done on Perpetuum, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say, Rick's restart was, it looked like he'd gone for it, then he didn't, and I think that caused for confusion with Perpetuum and Jiao Jiao, who, to be fair, he followed the letter of the rules. He let Jiao Jiao by, but then just gave himself the inside line on the run down into La Source as well, so I'm not sure Jiao Jiao will be too happy about that. Rick's still in the lead of this race, but look at Nicholas. Is he going to go try all the way around the outside at Blanchimont?
No, he has to back off, but he is going to switch the outside line in towards bus stop. Rick now on the inside line. Nicholas on the outside line. There's only one way you're getting this move done. Round the outside he goes, and Nicholas is through, and he's into the lead of the race. Perpetuum tries to force the issue as well. A little bit of a Constantine effect. Jab was right underneath the rear wing there of Perpetuum. Brings now Carlsbury onto the back of Yul Melmat in behind, but Nicholas leads the way onto lap 8 at 22 we go. Rick in second, Perpetuum in third, Jab in fourth, Yul Melmat in fifth. Of course, Yul Melmat's got penalties. Vapor Hyper, by the way, is into the pit lane as well, obviously with damage. Yul Melmat's only got 3 seconds worth of penalties, and that is literally your penalties up there out on track. Rick, though, trying to close in on the back of Perpetuum. Might go one too many in terms of the stops. Nicholas now leading the way, but Perpetuum trying to break out the slipstream of Jiao. Yul Melmat trying to break out the slipstream of Carlsbury. Further down the field, though, Kumbla is running side by side with Sorensen. It looks like the Red Bull is going to get the move done. The Dutchman is through on the Dane, and he's through and he's into 14th position. So Kumbla through and he's into 14th.
Yeah, Vapor just serving that drive-through penalty. His teammate down in 16th as well. Last but one for the Alpha Tauris. It has been a bit of a nightmare race for them. Let's not forget the last time they were teammates, as Combi is a reserve driver, was a Canadian Grand Prix, and they ended up making contact on the finish line. Basically, Combi getting wiped out of the race and Vapor getting, I think it was a 20-second penalty in the end. Nicholas, he's doing a pretty good job on these hard tyres at the moment. Rick just holding Perpetuum up, and I think for Rick's sake, he needs to try and stay within that 1 second window just to make sure he gets for DRS. Otherwise, he's going to be a sitting duck for Perpetuum, Jiao Jiao, Yul Melmat and Carlsbury to try and work their way through. And the hards on Nicholas not looking too bad at this moment in time.
Not looking bad at all, and he's quicker than Rick, of course, but it's Perpetuum that's now getting held up, along with Jiao and Yul Melmat, who are behind Rick, and Rick has probably got to come into the pit lane, you would imagine, around lap 14, lap 15, with the safety car, of course, extending the stint. Rick still on the back wheel of Nicholas. We come through the bus stop chicane, right on board with Perpetuum. He gets a great run out down and towards the source, not Lecombe. Nicholas leading the way, Rick in second, Perpetuum in third. Pit window was actually open for Perpetuum to go on to set a soft compound tyre. I mean, this game really likes to glitch us in terms of the strategy, but that's just ridiculous. Perpetuum on the back of Rick running up the hill. It's Nicholas leading the way, but for how long? As Jaja's got an insane run on Perpetuum, and is he going to try and maybe make it 3 wide running down the straight? It looks like it's going to be the case as Perpetuum is in the slipstream of Rick, but they're stuck in this DRS train running down the straight, and none of them is going to get the move done. Rick stays in second, Perpetuum third, and Jaja in fourth. Miklas and Armadillo side by side nearly running in towards Lecombe, and Armadillo doesn't get the move done on the back of Miklas, and Armadillo hangs on, and he's still in 11th position for now. But Jaja really putting Perpetuum under a lot of pressure. Perpetuum also putting Rick under pressure, but the more that he's held up, the more that it's going to favour Nicholas for the race win.
Yeah, Rick just locking up slightly there. To be fair to him, he wasn't as quick as the drivers behind him in qualifying, so I'm not sure how much of this pace disadvantage at the moment is just purely down to the tyres, or how much is... Oh! Huge accident! Yul Melmat slammed into the wall!
And it looked like that's surely got to be a controller failure or something, or a wheel failure, because that looked very, very unordinary whatsoever. I was on board with that, saw the entirety of that, and Yul Melmat's in the wall. He pretty much went straight on. He had no brakes. No brakes, straight into the wall, and a VSC is being deployed as a result. So Yul Melmat in the wall, some sort of setup failure for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, not sure whether wheel or controller, but that was very, very strange indeed. He was fairly close to Carlsbury, but I don't even think there would have been any contact that would have caused the crash of that velocity. So virtual safety car is out, of course, and there we go. It comes back. Combi's got a penalty, and look at Perpetuum. Fantastic restart.
Down the inside line he goes, and he actually pushes Rick offline, and now Rick is going to be under pressure from Jajo as well. Down through La Source we go, and Rick and Jajo side by side. Jajo is going to try and use up the last embers of his overtake down the hill, and Rick has got to be very, very clean with them. Jajo on the inside line, Rick on the inside line now, and it's still side by side, but look at Carlsbury. He's got the best run out of them all, and Rick and Jajo are now side by side, running down the straight. Yul Melmat retires from the session, of course, and has left the session, I should say. Jajo now down the inside line of Rick, tries to get the move done, nearly forced up on the curb. He forces Rick up on the curb, and there's contact, and Carlsbury's been caught up on that as well. And Jajo now down into third, Carlsbury down into fourth, The one in the worst position always gets the damage out on track, and Cosby's got left side end plate damage in there. He is going to be struggling with that damage. Jojo and Rick, just too little room. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, Hyper's retired, and that is out on track, and that's another virtual safety car. I think...
What is that?
That's coming out of...
Lecombe.
That's coming out of Lecombe, isn't it? It's where I think Grosjean and Button had that big crash at the start in 2009, so I'm not sure if there's been any contact with anyone for that to happen, but personally, and we only get to see the things once from that camera angle, I think Rick was far enough alongside Zhao Zhao to be afforded a bit more room than he got.
Yeah, I think Jaja just forced him up on the curb. It was almost as if Rick forced him up on the curb just before that. And then, obviously, as Rick's gone spinning, he's now down into P14. A lot of DNFs now beginning to happen out on track. Lemon, by the way, has got a great restart on the back of Carlsbury. Dobby right on the back of Tim as well. Is Lemon going to try and think about this? Down the inside line he goes. Into the bus stop chicane. I think Cosby's probably going to come in the pit lane anyways. He's not. He's staying out, actually. But Lemon is through, and he's into fourth position. Perpetuum, though, on the back of the race leader, Nicholas. It's Nicholas who leads the way. Perpetuum in second. Jaja in third. Lemon in fourth, and Cosby in fifth at this stage. Halfway now through in Belgium. Still half the race to go, and it looks like Perpetuum about as close as we've ever seen him out on track. He's going to use up the rest of his ERS. It's at least 70% he's got on that ERS, and now he runs down the straight on the back of Nicholas, and surely this is going to be a one-man street down in toward the Camel Straight, and now down in toward Lecombe, and Perpetuum is through. Nicholas just lets him go. Cosby now closing up right on the back of Lemon, and Dobby right on the back of Tim as well. Cosby right on the back, but he's not going to get the move done. Dobby let Breckley move on Tim, gets the move done, he's into sixth.
Yeah, fairly straightforward move there by Perpetuum, just with the DRS, with a lot more DRS as well. Not a lot Nicholas can do. Nicholas is... He's got to try and stay, a bit like we said about Rick, just stay within that 1 second window, because I still think in the final few laps, this race is going to come to those on the set of the hard tyres, as long as they can stay in contact with all of those on the medium tyres, of course. And that incident with Zhao Zhao and Rick's obviously allowed Perpetuum and Nicholas to just escape away ever so slightly at the moment. Carlsby, he's got a lot of front wing damage, and I wonder, as soon as it becomes viable to come into the pits and put on a set of soft tyres, I think we'll see the McLaren coming into the pit, and he never gives up. Twice so far this season, he's finished last, but got that fastest lap point as Tim's in the wall and out of the race.
Tim in the wall coming out of Stavolo, and he is off now. And is that going to be another safety car? It is. Another safety car out on track. We've had 2 VSCs and 2 full safety cars now. It's getting a bit of sense of deja vu from Division 5 last season. Perpetuum leading the way. Nicholas in second, and Perpetuum is in. Perpetuum is into the pit lane. Jojo stays out. Nicholas has responded as well. But Perpetuum into the pit lane, surely going on to a set of mediums to the end of the race.
I think softs will do it from now. I think you'll be... actually, we are seeing some mediums there for a racing point, but I reckon, yeah, Perpetuum's going on for soft tyres, and a couple of laps under the safety car, and you're only doing 8 or 9 full racing laps. I think this is a very, very sensible strategy for Perpetuum to put on a set of softs. Nicholas is going for the medium tyres. We're seeing a few more going on softs. It maybe depends on what tyres you've got left spare as well, but Zhao Zhao stayed out. Lemon has stayed out as well. Dobby, Amadi, even Kuhn Bly staying out, and I'm surprised because he's put 9 laps on those medium tyres. I think it would have been a good idea maybe for him to come into the pits, because Perpetuum, Nicholas, and I think everyone further down the field just going to streak ahead of him. Carlsbury, now obviously with that front wing damage, that's slowed his pit stop up slightly, so he does still lose a few more positions. This race could entirely depend on how quickly can Perpetuum work his way through those cars ahead of him, and how quickly can Zhao Zhao get away.
I was just about to say, it's one thing to get onto the back of a driver, and it's another thing to overtake, of course, here in Formula 1. And it's Jojo who leads the way. Lemon in second, Dobby in third, Armadillo in fourth, Kumbly fifth, with Perpetuum in sixth, Nicholas seventh, Mikwas in eighth. Mikwas, by the way, currently has the fastest lap of the race, currently with a 1:44.8, and he has gained 6 positions from his start, 11 positions gained as well for Armadillo and Kumbly. But of course, we've got more action to come for you. I really hope you are enjoying the action. I'm certainly getting a bit of deja vu from Division 5 last season in TTML, where we have, of course, had 5 full safety cars, and we're nearly towards that point, as it looks like the conditions are beginning to change out on track.
Yeah, track temperature has gone down by a degree, as has air temperature, so, of course, if there was any rain forecast at the 45-minute point, that wouldn't have been a problem. Let's say at the start of the race, making 22 laps around Spa, it's not 2 minutes a lap, we're fine. you've had a couple of virtual safety car periods. I think two or three now. You've had 2 full safety car periods where you're talking lap times all of a sudden more like 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 40 than they are the 1:45s that they're doing earlier on. That rain, if it is coming, does become more of a risk, and maybe that's why Perpetuum has put on the soft tyres, and because you won't have any worry getting it towards a wet period. Even anyway, 11 laps on a set of softs, 2 of them at least under the safety car, so it's more like 10 full laps, 2 under the safety car, roughly equaling 1 full lap. I don't think he's going to have a worry in terms of punctures, but again, they'll be feeling a bit second best at the end of this race. This probably means Jow, Dobby and Imady can just push those mediums a bit more, but we've already seen how little grip you can have on an older set of tyres once the safety car comes in.
Yeah, and Perpetuum will be the man to watch out for, of course, on that set of soft companion time. Mikras as well, on a set of softs, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this race is going to unfold. Looks like there's a little bit of haze descending on the track, certainly within the middle sector, I would say, rather than the first and the third. But it doesn't mean to say that we're going to get rain towards the end of the race. Maybe there is rain due at the end of the race, and that's why these guys have gone on to set a soft companion tyres to maybe try and eke out a bit of performance towards the end of the race. Everyone is back underneath the safety car queue, though, and it's that man there, Jow, who is out on top. He is going to be controlled in the safety car when we get restarted on this lap. Lemon in second, Dobby in third, Imady in fourth. All of a sudden, though, it brings the like of Effect, by the way. Effect was well down because of Volbeek and Cosby and the likes coming into the pit lane. Effect actually might have a chance to try and get on the podium.
I think it's going to be tough, to be perfectly honest. He is on a fresh set of the medium tyres, but he's gonna have to try and fight past 3 cars ahead of him who are on fresh tyres. And obviously, Imady, Jow, Dobby and Lemon also further up the field. So we'll see how it works out. We'll see how it works out with the penalties, because if you drivers like Volbeek, Sorensen and Rick that have now picked up penalties, you've got a lot less time to try and make up the gaps behind you. You effectively only got 10 laps. So I swear someone instantly flicked a switch there and made it extremely dark, looking over the hills at Prohon. I would not be confident about finishing this race in dry conditions.
Definitely not, and if it's 10-15 minutes until the rain begins to fall out on track, we're talking about pretty much right at the end of the race, but it remains to be seen how this is all going to unfold. But the safety car lights are going to go out now, and Jow is going to lead underneath the safety car, and he's going to be the virtual Burt Marlander, and I think unlike Rick's restart, he is going to slip back up the pack early to try and give everyone a clean chance of trying to get overtakes done right underneath this restart, as Rick has picked up a 5-second penalty with Sorensen, and I think Sorensen has also picked up the same penalty as well. Out on track he has, so both of them have picked up 5-second penalties, of course. But now Jow underneath the safety car, he is the virtual Burt Marlander, and he is going to be the one now controlling the pack, with Lemon in second, Dobby in third. Can the likes of Perpetuum, can the likes of Mikras get up the field early to try and challenge for the race win? Can Jow and Lemon eke out performance to the end? Can Kumbly go to the end of the race as well on the side of mediums? But Jow has floored it on the exit of Blanchimont, and he now floors it all the way down in toward the bus stop chicane, and he gets going early, and Jow has got Lemon right on the back foot early on. Jow leads, coming across the line. It's 6-7 tenths of a second. A great restart from Jow. From Lemon in second, Dobby in third, Imady in fourth, Nicholas right on the back of Perpetuum. Perpetuum, of course, trying to get those tyres warmed in. Carsby launching it down the inside line, and Volbeek down in towards La Source. Can he get the move done on the inside line? I think he has, and Carsby is through on Volbeek, and he's now through and he's into P10. Perpetuum already on the back of Kumbly, but it's the worst possible scenario you can be held up in. Running behind him, running up through a Rouge and Radion, and now he's going to put out of the slipstream. Imady putting out the slipstream as well on Dobby. He's going to try and get the move done, but Perpetuum side by side with Nicholas running behind us while Kumbly thinks about going down the inside line, but he doesn't, and Perpetuum's through and he's into fifth position. Perpetuum already making light work of the guys around him as Nicholas is right on the back of Kumbly.
Yeah, Nicholas trying to go down the inside, similar to what we saw Elting do earlier. There was a bit of contact between the two of them. Kumbly's going to have the inside line here for No Name, and Nicholas is going to have to give him the space. He has done so, but just superior grip and able to drive straight round the outside, and I think Kumbly, by the end of next lap, he could pretty much nearly be in last place here. Those mediums, 11 lap old compared to 1 lap fresh softs and fresh mediums, are really going to be struggling at the moment already. Perpetuum's pulled out about a second on him and he's right on the back of Imady. Perpetuum actually had a bit of a terrible restart. He went way too deep.
Volbeek lost it into the wall on the exit of the Campbell section, and now he's in the wall. Left side end plate damage, and it's raining! It's raining out on track! The rain has begun to fall. Jojo, Lemon, Dobby, first, second, and third. Perpetuum side by side with Armady coming through Blanchimont, and he tries to go all the way around the outside, and he has superior grip from Perpetuum. He's through and he's into P4. The rain beginning to fall out on track. Goodness me, this race has taken a turn.
Yeah, with how cold it is as well out on track at the moment. We're talking 25 degrees track temperature. It's not going to be long before you do start seeing like intermediate tyre conditions. Volbeek, he's coming into the pit. I think, it is still a bit too early to come in, to be perfectly honest, for a set of the intermediate tyres. But look at the lead that Zhao Zhao's got. 1.6 seconds at the moment. Volbeek retires from the race. We've only got 13 runners. Oh, Perpetuum's nearly lost it on the run coming up for Eau Rouge of Madion. And I think, kind of perversely, that's ended up giving him a fantastic run, and he just flies past Imad up into third place. Being on those fresh sets of soft tyres as well in these conditions, they'll retain their heat a lot better than Zhao Zhao and Lemon's tyres up ahead of him, and especially those hards that Lemon are on. They're going to feel dreadful as this track gets slippier and slippier.
And Sorensen's got the move done around the outside through Lecombe as well. And Effect is now dropping down the field. Carsby launch it down and towards Brusel. Lovely move there by Carsby. Now he's through and he's into 10. The soft compound tyres are beginning to run, but has the bird flown out on track? Zhao Zhao leading the way. Lemon in second, Perpetuum in third. Is this track wet enough, possibly, for Sadaventus? I think certainly within 2 laps or so time, we're going to be seeing intermediate conditions out on track. Sorensen right on the back of Kumplai, pretty much forcing them. Now coming through the Campos section out on track, but it's Zhao Zhao who leads. The bird has flown. Lemon in second, Perpetuum in third. Perpetuum surely going to get the run on Lemon, though. Coming out through Stavolo, and now on the run up, and he's going to use that ERS to absolute good effect. He's already on the inside line in towards Bloodshimon, and Perpetuum is through already, and he's through and he's on the back of Lemon. But Zhao Zhao, 2.4 seconds up the road. The rain needs to fall a little bit heavier out on track, but it looks to me as if we're beginning to see maybe the first signs of spray coming off these tyres.
Yeah, and I think the DRS has been re-enabled, obviously, after the safety car. I was about to say the DRS has been disabled, just jump in the gun. But there we go, Dobby and Nicholas clearly thinking, now's the time to do that. More surprising for Nicholas, and this just really does put into question, why go for a set of the medium tyres when it is due to rain in a few laps' time, and he is putting the intermediates on. It'll be the same for Dobby as well, so they're out on inters. We'll watch their sector times with great interest as Mikras gets past and Imad has spun at the top of Eau Rouge.
He has indeed, and he's lost it coming on the exit, and look at how worn his tyres are. Now out on track, Sorensen is through on Kumblai as well. But look at Zhao Zhao. Look at the gap between him and Perpetuum. That gap is not coming down at all, as Imad lost it again through the first sector, and it's absolute abysmal conditions now out on track. And this race has just taken a complete and utter change. There's the yellow flag through sector 1 and 2, and again that's Imad, I think, that has lost it through Lecombe. But Zhao Zhao leads the way, 1.7 seconds, and look at the rain falling as Perpetuum picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think Zhao Zhao knows Perpetuum might not now have the pace on the set of softs to close in. I think Zhao Zhao's in with a good shot of winning this now.
Zhao Zhao's got to be in a good shot of winning it. Perpetuum, it wasn't like he lost the car. He just pushed completely too hard coming through Buhan and just ran so far wide and almost sliding the car again. He is really pushing in these conditions, and to be fair to him, he's gained about 6 or 7 tenths of a second on that lap. It is starting to change now that we are just seeing as Imad gets out of the way, so we can't really tell what the track conditions were like, because obviously Nicholas and Dobby were catching with the damage, but they're catching anyway. Intermediate tyres, I think, are the ones to be on at this moment in time, and we will see the entire field. No, Perpetuum stays out. That is a mistake in my opinion.
And Zhao Zhao into the pit lane. There's a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3 time at D once again, who was half spun coming through Stavolo, but now Zhao Zhao is into the pit lane, and he goes on to a set of intermediates, and is this the time for everyone to come in? He's out in clear air as well. Mikras comes in and behind him, and it looks like Mikras might have just held the likes of Lemon maybe further slightly down the field, but Zhao Zhao's out in 5th position. He's out in clear air as well. This is going to be the biggest indicator now of if it's inters or if it's soft compounded tyres. I think we're borderline at this stage. The umbrellas really gave the tradition in terms of the weather out on track. Zhao Zhao nearly loses it coming through a Rouge and Radion. And that might be the case, actually, where Perpetuum might have actually picked the right scenario. Zhao Zhao's just lost 0.3 of a second coming through a Rouge and Radion. He completely and utterly went for it. There is spray coming off those tyres, but it's very limited. I don't think it's time yet. Oh, now it is.
Now it definitely is. DRS disabled, but is it? with how long of a track it is as well. You've like Fetcham, Sorensen, Cornblay and Conway have got a fair bit of track to do to try and get round as Sorensen picks up a time penalty. How long is this rain going to last for? There's no way I don't think you're going to be able to get it towards the end. Perpetuum, he's got no grip in those front tyres. The softs do heat up easier than all the other tyres, but he's got no grip and no heat whatsoever here. And he's going to find himself behind Jow Jow and might have to watch out for where Lemon, maybe even where Mikras is, especially when you consider that penalty. Niklas now picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. All these drivers that just went that one extra lap, they tried it, but being such a long track, it's really not worked out for them in the end, and they're going to find themselves quite a long way down the order. Fetcham and Sorensen, I said watch out for Sorensen. He's still having a fairly decent recovery, of course, from starting right at the back of the field after retiring on his outlap, but now they're going to have to come into the pits, so Sorensen nearly misses the pits because that's how deep he's gone on the brakes, trying to make the corners. There's no temperature in these tyres whatsoever. Jow Jow takes the lead of this race, and you'd imagine, unless he has a moment through Eau Rouge again, he's heading towards a 4th victory of the season.
This is his race to lose now, out on track. And by the way, I've just noticed a right old glitch in the task system. Kumbly is set a 9.021 middle sector. Just thought I'd say that. JJ leads the way. It's Lemon in second, and look where Perpetuum's came out. He's behind Mikras, and he's behind Carlsbury as well out on track, and it's side by side. On them and down through Rouge and Radion, but no, Carlsbury is down through, and he's into P4, Perpetuum in P5, and now Perpetuum on the back. Carlsbury's lost it, coming through with Rouge and Radion. Great recovery from the Finn, and Perpetuum sails through, and he's into P4, but Carlsbury taking it too aggressively, I think, up the hill through Rouge and Radion. Nearly spun the car into the wall, and Effect is now all of a sudden on the back. I did say Effect might be within a chance of a podium. I didn't mean it when I said it, but now he's right on the back of Carlsbury.
Yeah, top 3 out on track's definitely a possibility. It's just whether he can get far enough ahead of Mikras and Carlsbury especially to count out that 3 seconds. This would have been, I'm going to say, it'd probably, if we hadn't have had the safety cars and the VSC, we'd probably be on about lap 21, lap 22 now. We might have seen drivers trying to skate it round on a set of the dry tyres, and this might be why it's so difficult, because drivers have just gone for the normal dry setups because they weren't really expecting this rain to come until right at the end of the race, as Dobby gets past Nicholas, who I think has gone off through Pujon. Big damage to his front wing, so he'll be coming into the pits and dropping a long way down the field, and in fact they weirdly trying to turn into the wall. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Jow Jow, he's just streaking away. 6-second lead all of a sudden here. He can afford to take things a bit easier.
And Nicholas, that's just a ridiculous 10-second time penalty given. I think Nicholas might have had a controller issue maybe there. Looks like he was going straight in toward the wall. Maybe controller getting a lack of charge maybe. But look at Mikras on the back of Lemon, the German now under pressure from the Dane in behind. It's the Danes that are dominating now. Jojo and Mikras first and third, Lemon and Perpetuum second and fourth, and we've got another Scandinavian in Carlsbury in fifth position as well. It's really ending up like a bit like the Eurovision Song Contest here tonight. Jojo leading the way, Lemon in second, Mikras in third, but Mikras now on the back of Lemon. And I wonder if Lemon is going to feel the pressure as Nicholas comes speeding into the pit lane and he retires once again. A 7th DNF from everyone out on track tonight. It's a bit disappointing as Mikras is through. An Effect has spun, coming through a Rouge and Radion. So Effect literally has zero effect now out on track. He's in the wall. He's got a T-train now out on track. And he recovers the car. And he's now all the way down in 10th position. His chances of a podium, well and truly gone.
Yeah, that barrier's definitely had an effect on his front wing there. Both end plates missing. Nicholas, hopefully no one wants to come into the pit lane now and find out what the speed limit is. It's a good job it tells you on the game, because Nicholas completely wiped out the speed limit board on his way in frustration. We are down to just 12 runners in this race, and with how many different spins and incidents we've seen, Effect's going to drop down the order as well. You would not be surprised if this race has another sting in the tail, and I'm sure the top three are hoping it's not them who gets caught out.
Yeah, but look at Jojo. He's 6.6 seconds clear, and the Dane is flying out on track. Lemon in second, Mikras in third. But honestly, this race has just been completely topsy-turvy. It's completely turned on its head. We thought it might rain towards the end of the race. It has. And Jojo is the one leading the way, and the king of the intermediates, as I call him. He is absolutely flying out on track. He's nearly in every corner. 7 seconds the gap now on Lemon, and surely the race is now his. unless something happens to him out on track. Lemon's in second, Mikras there in third. Perpetuum is still not overly done with. In terms of the penalty scenario, by the way, 3 seconds worth of penalty for Perpetuum. He'll drop him behind Carsbury at this stage. 6 seconds for Sorensen, 3 for Combi, Effect, Rick and Armady. Doesn't really matter in that terms of that battle. However, Rick is through on Effect, running down in towards Blanchimont. So Rick is through on Effect, obviously with that damage for Effect, and Rick is now through, and he's into 10th position. Out on track as Jojo still controls the lead, 7.2 seconds the gap with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, you can afford to take it a bit easier. You don't want to lift your foot off the gas too much, of course, because you can start losing concentration and make mistakes as Perpetuum's right on the back of Mikras here. No DRS, of course, in the wet conditions. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside here, and he's made it work. Such good move there by Perpetuum, gets himself up another position. Now, can he get past Lemon? And then how far can he get ahead of these drivers in the final 2.5 laps?
My mouth is completely wide open seeing that move. That was insane from Perpetuum. He clean sailed it around the outside. There was a little bit of contact just heading into the corner. Very, very minimal contact. But Perpetuum is through and he's into P3 with one of the ballsiest moves I think you will ever see around here in Belgium in the wet. Beautiful move by Perpetuum. He's into third. Mikras there in fourth. Carsbury in fifth. And they're going to be hoping Carsbury certainly got the pace to get onto the back of Mikras. Mikras maybe just going in terms of the tyres. Jojo, though, dominating out in front. Lemon in second, Perpetuum in third. And now that puts Perpetuum in a little bit of a disadvantaged scenario with Mikras and Carsbury. No penalties in behind him. Perpetuum is the man that is going to try and catch back. And he's now got the pace to try and catch back up to Lemon. And he's going to squeeze every ounce of performance out of Lemon in front. It's terrible. Sorensen has lost it. Can we do Stavolo?
Yeah, Sorensen, Stavolo, Paul Frere again picking up another victim. He'll be able to carry on, though, with some damage. Should still come out ahead of Effect after that pit stop. But Perpetuum already had nearly pulled out a second there on Mikras. It's 8 tenths of a second in 1 lap. So if he gets past Lemon, you'd imagine he might be able to get ahead of possibly Carsbury and Mikras. Maybe ahead of Lemon to try and is just going to be a bit too much at this moment in time to get a second position, but things are definitely looking very interesting at the moment. He's not as close as he was last time around, and Carsby a bit further off the back of Mikras, so things just starting to space out, as we've so often seen in these wet conditions. But Jojo, he's just completely checked out in this race. We thought maybe he'd come in a lap too early. In the end, he called it fantastically, had that massive moment, let's not forget, and he's built up 8 seconds in what is effectively 8 laps since the final safety car.
Yeah, it's a second a lap, but he's basically gained, and Jojo has just been so impressive, I think. It was awarded the race, basically, from that late safety car and from the rain really coming out. That is what helped him out on track, and Jojo is going to be on for yet another win. Out on track, it's going to be, I think, the 4th of this season out of 6 possible races that he has competed in. Of course, he didn't make it last week, and Jojo is back at his brilliant best. Lemon, though, in second position. He's got Perpetuum in behind him, Mikras and Carsbury. I think they may stay in those positions. Of course, with Perpetuum, 3-second time penalty, he's going to drop down, maybe behind Carsbury come the end of this race. But Lemon going to try and eke out a last ounce of performance, really, from that racing point ahead. The Williams gaining, but Lemon used up a little bit of overtake mode. You can see he's got about 30% left in terms of his ERS. Perpetuum is in third. Mikras just losing a little bit of time as well to Carsbury down in there fourth. Nobody else close enough. Perpetuum, though, looking on the back of Lemon, running towards the bus stop chicane. Not quite close enough, but he is on the back as Jojo leads onto the final lap of the race. 7 kilometres to go between Jojo and another victory here in TTML Division 1.
Yeah, but it looks pretty much certain at the moment. A 4th victory of the season. In all the races he's done in TTML Division 1, including the end of last season, he's only been off the podium once. This will be his 9th podium, I believe, in 10 races, and it'll give him a 48-point lead in the championship with 4 races remaining. He can't be crowned at the next race, but he might get pretty close. Perpetuum, I was Lemon, I'll be a bit annoyed if he ends up pulling this move off me, because I've been watching the stream, but Perpetuum absolutely butchering the track limits at Rouge and Radion. He's going to try and go down the inside here. Is he going to make it? No, has to get up on the curb, and that's always going to cost you in these conditions. But he has nearly pulled out that 3 seconds on Carsbury. It's 2.4 at the moment, so in fact, yeah, including penalties, it's going to be more than 47 points here between Jojo and Perpetuum. There's a bit of contact between the two of them, and that's just going to help Lemon defend that position and obviously get Mikras and Carsbury a bit closer.
Yeah, Mikras and Cosby. Cosby now within 2 seconds, once again on the back of Perpetuum, but Lemon is under sustained pressure. Perpetuum runs out wide, and that might actually be it as Lemon pulls away 0.5 of a second. The gap now as Jojo just dominates. It's 9 seconds the gap, coming in through Stavilo for the final time, and the Dane has absolutely excelled out on track, and for the IFR man it's going to be a 4th win this season, and the Dane, he may as well just celebrate now. Jojo is coming through in towards Blanchimont for the final time, and it's been an absolute class drive, even though he hasn't been towards the top end of the field today. Jojo, in the end, dominant. Coming around the final couple of corners, through the bus stop chicane, and Jaja was a 4-time winner here in TTML Division 1 this season, comes across the line to win in Belgium. Perpetuum really challenging Lemon, and also Cosby challenging Mikras toward the line. It's going to be Lemon across the line to finish in second. Perpetuum gaining in the end in third. Mikras in third now with Cosby in fourth. Perpetuum all the way down in fifth. Dobby dropping time. He's down in sixth position. Kumblai across the line to finish in seventh. Combi will come across the line to finish in 8th. Everyone else is going to be strung out like your mum's washing. Rick, Armity, Effect and Sorensen probably going to stay in that order. Jaja, though, out on top. Another 30 points go his way. He didn't have it his own way out on track, but when luck was on his side, it was on his side, and he won.
Yeah, he did take the victory. Effects had a moment coming through Stavilo on the final lap of the race, so whether that's going to give Sorensen a chance to get close enough, I think the Mercedes has just been able to recover in time. It wouldn't matter anyway with the penalties that Sorensen does have, so Imad comes through in 10th, Effect and Sorensen are going to come through 11th and 12th in the end after penalties. But yeah, Zhao, he didn't have it all his own way. We were wondering, I was definitely thinking, was staying out the right decision, but with how quickly the rain came after the safety car, there wasn't enough time for those on the soft tyres to catch him up. He was fantastic after the safety car, came in the pits at the right point. I think it's now a 53-point lead he has got in the championship with 4 races to go, so he can't win it next time out. He could well take the championship at Mexico. To take it with 2 races to go in a 10-race season just shows the dominance he's had so far, and I really hope next season, I know he runs automatic gears, I think, at the moment. I really hope he turns them off, so maybe he can get a chance in the TTML Premier Tier next year. This kid is one to watch for the future.
He is one to watch for the future, and Jaja once again to the top step of the podium. Wonder how many times we're going to see that for the rest of this season. A fantastic win from Jaja out on track, but a really good drive from Lemon in second, and Mikras in the end, because of penalties, up in third position. Great race from him. Mikras, by the way, best position finish, 4th podium for Jaja this season, a 2nd podium for Lemon as well, but Jaja out on top. To boot, fastest lap of the race as well goes his way. Lemon in second, great drive from him. Mikras in third, great drive from him. Cosby fourth, Perpetuum unlucky with the 3-second penalty. Dobby in 6th, Kumblai in 7th. Dobby in 8th, Combi in 8th, Rick in 9th, Armady ran off the top 10. Effect in 11th, Sorensen in 12th. Niklas, Volbeek, Tim, Hyper, Yulmelmat, Chapelletti and Eltink. Niklas, of course, finishing in 13th position. Volbeek, Tim, Hyper, Yulmelmat, Chapelletti and Eltink. In fact, those 7 DNF, it was Sorensen, the last man who finished. But Jaja wins again, and I think we should try and get them in.
Yeah, we're going to try and get those top 3 drivers in. I've got to say Lemon as well did a fantastic job, because I know he's trying to adapt now to not using ABS. To get second in that race was a brilliant performance from him. Mikras doing fairly well, and they were just some of the drivers that managed to keep it clean. Cosby, another one as well, didn't really do anything spectacular in that race, had a few mini moments, but kept it out of the wall where there's so many others didn't, and just keeping it out on circuit, keeping it going, so crucial, especially when, as long as you finish, basically, you end up getting a point, and they've got some pretty good points for themselves and the team, but Zhao, just when you think things might stop him taking victories, he just comes up with a whole nother level. He's the Rainmeister. He's unbelievable in these wet conditions.
He is the Rainmeister, and the Rainmeister has joined us in the party now. Zhao, 4th win of the season. A fantastic win from you. You must be very happy with the result.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
You don't sound pleased with the result, though.
I am happy, I'm happy.
You're happy? I think you're just tired. Did you go to football before this race, by any chance?
No, I got someone else to take my place, so I could race tonight.
Terrible. I feel sorry for that person who was taking your place at football. But you made it here on time, and of course, another win for you out on track around Belgium. You didn't really have it your own way, though.
No, there was some. It looked hard at the start of the race with me being behind the two leading guys, so it's hard to pass.
Very hard to pass indeed. And obviously, that safety car, those wet conditions, were really your advantage point right at the end of this race.
Yeah, when the second safety car came out, I knew I wasn't gonna pit because there was no need for that because the rain was gonna come. And then, I saw that a lot of people pitted, but luckily 5 people stayed out. So I had a lot of people behind me to hold back the soft runners. And then I saw that I think it was Lemon. He was on the hards behind me, so I knew that I was gonna pull a gap at the restart because he would have cold tires. And then it was just about getting a gap before Perpetuum came up and waiting for the rain to come and then timing that as best as possible.
And you timed it beautifully as well out on track, so well done, of course, for the win. Luke, any questions?
Yeah, congratulations again, another win, Jow Jow. Just if you can remember, you and Rick had a bit of contact, I think, at one point in the race, which ended up sending Rick spinning. What were your thoughts on that incident?
I was on the inside, I think, and then I was pretty far ahead of him, and then, I don't think he was far enough ahead to get the right for the corner, and then, he kept it in there, and then he spun around. I can't see much in the car, so I'm also in cockpit. It's not easy to see, so I have to look back at it. But I don't think it's my fault. I think he took the chance by staying on the inside, and then he spun. But we will have to see.
53 points ahead now in the championship. 4 races to go. It's been an absolutely dominant season for yourself. Do you just carry on doing what you're doing, I'm guessing, and see how many more wins you can get? Because at this rate, you're going to end up picking the title up probably Mexico or USA.
I always want to get the most point possible, so let's see.
Yeah, we will see indeed. Congratulations on your 4th victory out of the 5 races that you've been in this season.
Thank you very much.
And final question, of course, from me. How do you think you're going to get on in Russia?
Russia is one of my really good tracks, so hopefully I can get a win again.
Hopefully you do. It'll be the 5th of the season if you do. But well done on the win. Go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
And now we'll move on to his teammate, actually, IFR Mikras. And Mikras, of course, finished in P3 out on track. A very good win from you. And it must be a very good feeling to be on the podium.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I didn't expect it at all. But lots of crashes happening in front and weather changes and such. So really pleased with the result.
Yeah, and of course, with Perpetuum's penalty, he had 3 seconds in front of you. Did you at one stage feel like you might actually try and nick the win?
Nah, not the win. P2 at maximum, because Jow Jow is untouchable in the wet conditions. But P2 I would have liked, but just didn't have the pace. So P3 it was, and I'll definitely take that.
P3 it was indeed, and a fantastic win, of course, from you out on track. I can see that Luke has had a technical glitch, I believe. He is muted on my screen. He's definitely not muted in terms of the mic. So I think he can't hear us at this stage. Oh, now I think he can.
I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly fine. James, do not worry about that. It's the wonders of modern technology. Congratulations, Mikras. First podium of the season. I think that moves you up into 4th in the championship at the moment. What's your aims for the rest of the season? Obviously, Jow Jow probably a bit too far ahead, barring an absolute calamity happening to him. So, do you reckon you can battle for the top 3 in the championship, or are you just taking each race as it comes?
Yeah, I think I'm taking each race as it comes. But this podium has definitely given me some confidence going into the last rounds of the championship. So hopefully a top 4 if I'm P4 now in the championship, as you said.
Yeah, I'll hand you back over to James and see if he's got any more questions for you.
Yeah, final question for me. How do you think you're going to get on in Russia?
Yeah, same as Jojo said earlier, it's also one of my pretty good tracks, I would say. So yeah, a podium if I'm lucky, but a top 5 finish would be very nice indeed.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds, of course, out on track next week. Go and enjoy your evening, though, Miklas.
Thank you.
Very welcome indeed, and that is the end of this session. It is the end of tonight's live stream as well. We really hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, before we go, Luke, who would you like to nominate as your driver of the day?
I mean, I don't think it's the boring choice, but when you're putting that good of a performance, when you call the strategy absolutely spot on, when you win the race by about 10 seconds, who else are you going to go for? But Zhao Zhao, well, just ever since he's joined this league, he's been an absolute revelation, really.
He has been an absolute revelation, and yeah, Zhao Zhao definitely doesn't get my vote. I've got to be honest. We have to give another choice in terms of the driver of the day. I'm going to give it to Lemon. I think Lemon drove an absolute succinct race out on track. Of course, finishing well up in the field, well up in second. So he will get my driver of the day vote. So both Zhao Zhao and Miklas will go. Both Zhao Zhao and Lemon even will go into the driver of the day vote, of course. And it remains to be seen how this is all going to unfold, of course, out on track in Russia. But if you're like me, and if you've reached the end of the night, and if you're going to watch Eurovision, then good luck, because you're going to really need it. Thank you so much for watching, of course, TTML Division 1. I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Please take care of yourselves in this crazy world that we all live in, and until next time, goodbye.
Dreams. These are childhood dreams. It's how it used to be when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Every weekend is the same. I'm the one you try to claim. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. Call me up with no shame. All your words sound the same. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. If you come around just to play me, don't bother, cause you ain't overdue. Don't even try to convince me. Don't bother, cause now I see you through. Every now and then I think what we had was something real. Don't know why, cause I've been hurt like this, but never thought that I would fight for you this much. Don't know why, and tonight I'm not the one to be blamed.